Clara was nervous as she prepared for the biggest job interview of her life, but the silver necklace with its emerald pendant gave her strength. A treasured gift from her mother, it was said to bring luck in moments of need. As she walked into the office of Mr. Bennett, a powerful CEO, she was determined to make a lasting impression. However, the interview took an unexpected turn when Mr. Bennett's gaze fixed on her necklace, his expression shifting to shock. What followed was a revelation that connected Clara, her mother, and Mr. Bennett in a way she never imagined, unveiling a story of kindness, redemption, and the surprising ways lives can intertwine through a single act of compassion. The morning sun poured through the thin curtains as Clara stood in front of her mirror, carefully clasping her mother's necklace around her neck. It wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was a family heirloom, a delicate silver chain adorned with an emerald pendant. Her mother, Elaine, had given it to her for good luck, whispering how it had always protected her during life's most crucial moments. Clara had a big day ahead. She was heading to an important job interview for a position that could change her life. It wasn't just about advancing her career. It was about stepping into a new chapter of independence. Her heart thudded with anticipation and nerves as she smoothed her blazer, the necklace glinting softly against her skin. She kissed her mother goodbye, promising to text as soon as the interview was over. The downtown office building loomed tall and imposing. Clara felt a pang of nervousness as she stepped into the polished lobby, but the necklace around her neck gave her a comforting sense of connection to her mother. Taking a deep breath, she approached the receptionist and announced her appointment. Moments later, Clara was ushered into a spacious corner office. Sitting behind a mahogany desk was Mr. Bennett, the company's CEO. His silver-streaked hair and sharp suit made him look every bit the formidable leader Clara had imagined. He rose to shake her hand, his piercing blue eyes meeting hers with professional courtesy. She sat down, clutching her portfolio tightly in her lap. "Clara, thank you for coming in today," Mr. Bennett began. His tone was polite but distant, a man used to assessing people quickly. As Clara began to answer his questions, her confidence grew. She spoke passionately about her skills and experience, trying to mask the nervous energy that bubbled beneath the surface. But then, mid-sentence, Clara noticed Mr. Bennett's gaze shift. His eyes locked onto the necklace around her neck, and his expression changed entirely. The professional mask slipped, replaced by something akin to shock, disbelief, and even sorrow. "Excuse me," he interrupted, his voice suddenly softer. "That necklace, where did you get it?" Clara hesitated, unsure how to respond. "It was my mother's," she said finally. "She gave it to me for good luck." Mr. Bennett leaned back in his chair, his face pale. For a moment, he seemed lost in thought, his gaze fixed on the emerald pendant. The room fell silent, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. "Your mother? What's her name?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Elaine," Clara replied, her heart beginning to race. "Elaine Carter." Mr. Bennett's breath caught. "Elaine Carter," he repeated, as if tasting the name on his tongue. "I haven't heard that name in over 30 years. Clara stared at him, bewildered. "You knew my mother?" He nodded slowly, a wistful smile forming on his lips. "Knew her? She saved my life." The revelation hung in the air, heavy with unspoken stories. Clara's mind raced, trying to piece together the connection between her mother and this powerful man sitting before her. "It was a long time ago," Mr. Bennett continued, his voice tinged with emotion. "I was a young man then, reckless and arrogant. I made some poor decisions that nearly cost me everything. Your mother was the one person who believed in me when no one else would. She gave me that necklace as a symbol of hope, telling me that as long as I wore it, I could find the strength to turn my life around." Clara's eyes widened. "She gave this to you?" "Yes," he said, nodding. "But I lost it during one of the darkest times of my life. I thought it was gone forever. To see it now, here, around your neck," his voice trailed off, and he shook his head, as if still struggling to believe the coincidence. "My mother never told me any of this," Clara said, her voice trembling. "She always said the necklace had a special meaning, but she never mentioned you." Mr. Bennet leaned forward, his gaze intense. "Your mother was one of the kindest, most selfless people I've ever met. She didn't just give me a necklace, she gave me a second chance at life. I wouldn't be here today without her." The room grew quiet again, the weight of his words sinking in. Clara felt a swell of pride for her mother, a woman she had always admired, but now realized had touched lives in ways she never knew. "I'm sorry," Mr. Bennet said suddenly, breaking the silence. "I didn't mean to derail the interview. Please, let's continue." But Clara could see that he was still deeply affected, his mind clearly elsewhere. She tried to steer the conversation back to her qualifications, but every so often, Mr. Bennet's eyes would flicker back to the necklace, and she could see the memories playing out behind his gaze. At the end of the interview, Mr. Bennet stood and shook her hand, his grip firm yet gentle. "Thank you for coming in, Clara. I'll be in touch soon." As she turned to leave, he called out, "Wait." Clara paused, looking back at him. "I'd like to meet your mother," he said. "If she's willing. There's so much I'd like to thank her for." Clara hesitated, unsure how her mother would react to being reunited with someone from her past. But she nodded. "I'll talk to her and let you know." When Clara returned home and recounted the story to her mother, Elaine's eyes filled with tears. She sat down heavily, clutching the necklace as if it were a lifeline. "I never thought I'd hear that name again," Elaine said softly. "Jonathan Bennet, he was a good man at heart, but he was lost. I gave him that necklace, hoping it would remind him of the strength he already had within him. Why didn't you ever tell me about him?" Clara asked. Elaine smiled faintly. "It was a chapter of my life I didn't think would ever resurface. But I'm glad to know he turned his life around." A few days later, Elaine agreed to meet Mr. Bennet. The reunion was emotional, filled with gratitude and shared memories. Mr. Bennet expressed his deep appreciation for Elaine's kindness and resilience, while Elaine marveled at the man he had become. As the weeks went by, Mr. Bennet offered Clara the job, but he also became a mentor to her, guiding her as she navigated her new career. The connection forged through the necklace brought their families closer, reminding them all of the power of kindness, hope, and the unexpected ways our lives can intertwine. The necklace, once a simple heirloom, had become a symbol of redemption and new beginnings, a testament to the enduring impact of a single act of compassion.